Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, Nourished with Love, and another Flourishing Friday. So the video that I'm bringing to you this week is something that I'm so excited about. This is a constant staple in my kitchen as well as my health regimen, and I'm just really excited to share with you how simple it is to make bone broth. So before we get into the video on how to do it, let's talk about why it's so essential to add into our daily diets. So the first thing to remember is you could be taking a ton of supplements, but if your digestion is not working optimally, chances are most of what you're taking in is not going to be absorbed and utilized. Bone broth is highly absorbable, which means that all of the vitamins and minerals that it contains can be easily digested, absorbed, and utilized. It contains a ton of minerals, including calcium, phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium. It boosts immunity, which just goes to show that the old school original bone broth made like 100 years ago actually is a great cure for the common cold. It's also great for treating leaky gut as well as improving joint health, and that's because it has a high content of amino acids, gelatin, and collagen. All around, this stuff is just amazing, and you can enjoy it in a lot of different ways, actually. I have mine right here in our most recent San Diego mug. Oh my god, it's so good. So you can enjoy it just as is in a mug. That's the first way that I would recommend taking it, is in the morning. Replace your coffee and tea with a cup of bone broth because it'll give you lots of energy and it doesn't have the stimulants that you get with coffee and teas. So it's definitely easier on your blood sugar. I just wanted to expand on that last statement that stimulants are very hard on the adrenal glands by increasing cortisol, a hormone that's responsible for regulating blood sugar and a plethora of other functions. And a lot of other areas in your body too. So it's nighttime when I'm filming this, so it's not my morning cup, but I'm still like, I'm loving this. So you can enjoy it as is, or you can also use it in soups, which is probably the way that I most frequently use it, to be honest. I make a big batch of soup every single week, and I love replacing the broth with bone broth. And then the third way is to cook your grains in it. So if you have some soaked rice or quinoa or anything like that that you would normally cook with water, put bone broth in it, because then you're getting added health benefits, but it also adds to the flavor so much. So you don't have to add anything to it. Frequently when I'm making grains, if I do make grains, I don't eat a lot, but if I do make grains, I usually have to put something on it to flavor it, and when I cook it in bone broth, it's so flavorful that I can just eat it as is. So I'm gonna be honest, I've been using bone broth for years. I just, however, started making it on my own. It seemed like, for me, for some reason, it seemed like something really intimidating, and so I waited a really long time to make it myself. And buying it is not cheap. When you buy it from a store, you're looking at least a minimum of $9 for 24 ounces, and that just really adds up. So Christmas time rolls around, and I decided instead of making hot cocoa for a holiday outing, I was going to make bone broth because my 2-year-old is obsessed with broth. So I made it for the first time, and like most things that I try in the kitchen, I realized how easy it actually was. The idea of it was much more overwhelming than the actual process. So this is my personal recipe. The base of a bone broth, really all you need are good quality bones, purified water, and apple cider vinegar. And then you can add in whatever else you want for flavor. So for me, I used 8 pounds of marrow bones, 1.5 tablespoons of peppercorn, 2 star anise, 1 teaspoon of whole clove, 1 bay leaf, 3 to 4 sprigs of fresh rosemary, 1 tablespoon of thyme, 2 tablespoons of good quality raw apple cider vinegar, 3 carrots, 1 onion, and about 6 to 8 cloves of garlic. The first part is optional, but I highly recommend it, and that's roasting the bones. This is something I've talked to a lot of people that have made bone broth, and the number one complaint is that it smells kind of funny. And when you roast the bones, that eliminates the smell, and it actually makes makes your kitchen smell wonderful while you're cooking the broth. So what you want to do is preheat your oven to 450 degrees and then put your bones on a parchment lined cookie sheet and then just roast them for about 40 minutes. And that just really improves the flavor and it gives you a really nice rich color as well. While the bones are roasting, you'll just want to give your onion and your carrot a rough chop. And then what I do is just crush the cloves. So I don't even chop the cloves, I just crush them. And what that does is release the allicin, which is all of the health benefits basically that garlic has, but it's also all of the flavor. So you don't have to chop it or anything, just give it a good crush and then you can throw that into the pot. Place all of your ingredients in a large stock pot, and you'll want to fill with very clean, purified water about an inch past all of the ingredients. Now you'll want to let everything sit in the cold water for about 30 minutes to an hour just to help with the flavor. Bring to a boil and then drop to a low simmer. And by low, I mean really low, like just a couple bubbles popping up here and there. And then from that point, about every 30 minutes for the next 4 hours, you're gonna skim off. Some stuff is gonna collect at the top. You're gonna wanna skim that off and discard it. And then beyond that point, pop a lid on it and let it go for anywhere between 24 to 48 hours. After your bone broth has cooked, go ahead and take it off of the heat, strain it, and then what I do is put it in a bowl and pop it in the fridge overnight. And the reason why I do that is because marrow bones are really, really fatty, and so you'll end up with a lot of fat. So putting it in the fridge, all of the fat solidifies and rises to the top so you can easily scrape it off. And you can either discard it, or what I just recently learned is you can actually save it. Apparently it's a really nutrient-dense fat, so you can save it and cook with it. I have not yet tried this, but I definitely plan to with my next batch. From that point, put it in mason jars, and you can either store it in the fridge for up to 3 days or in the freezer for 3 months. If you're storing it in the freezer, make sure that you leave like an inch to an inch and a half in the mason jar to avoid exploding bone broth in your freezer. That has not happened to me. I've had a few other exploding episodes in the freezer, but I learned just leave some space at the top because it does expand and you don't want your beautiful bone broth to go to waste. And that's it. Bone broth is one of the easiest, most nutrient-dense foods that you can add to your diet to improve everything. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure that you subscribe, click the bell below so that you get notifications when I post, or if you're already subscribed, thank you. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you guys in the next Flourishing Friday. Take care.